I hate everything about you. Part 1. For as long as I can remember, Doug and I have been enemies. Our families both own the two biggest restaurants in the town, and we do not mix. The rivalry is the worst with our moms, who refuse to be in the same room together. My mom has always refused to tell me what happened between our families. Ever since we were young, our moms have had this competition going on between them. Every event is not complete without some drama between them. So growing up, I grew to hate him because our families did not get along. In school, we were bitter rivals to the end. In academics and sports, we were always trying to outdo each other. And when it came to dating, it was not rare for us to go after the same girls. Beating him thrilled me and kept me going on. For so many years, I wanted nothing but to prove that I was better than him, make my family proud. When we were on the same football team for all of high school. Now that we were in our senior year, the coach had to decide who was going to be the team captain. I wanted to be the team captain so badly because that would mean that I would have a higher chance of getting into college of my choice. But I knew that he wanted it just as badly, and had been working hard to get that position. Before I left for my meeting with the coach, my mother had a talk with me. She told me that she was very proud of me, and she wanted me to succeed and show them that they should not mess with us. To be honest, sometimes I got tired of doing things just to make her proud and to beat Doug. But I knew that I would not disappoint my mom. That afternoon at practice, the tension between Doug and I was very intense. We were clashing for the most stupid reasons. I wanted to prove to the coach that I was a better player than him, and I guess he had the same idea. He practiced just as hard as me and did not take a break. Beating him was my ultimate goal, and I would stop at nothing. After practice, we were called into the coach's office. While we waited for him, we bickered as we usually did. I could not help it. Every time that I was in his presence, I was annoyed by how much he tried to be perfect. He tried to top everything that I did. He was everywhere I turned. Just so you know, you're wasting your time here. It's all mine, he said. You wish it was, just like I'm going to beat you in our final exams. I'm also going to snatch that title of being captain from you. It's mine and only mine, I smirked. Oh, just like Rosie is mine? He snickered. Whatever, I said. Rosie was the girl that he had asked to prom before I had a chance to. Alright, my two favorite players. I have come to a decision, the coach said as he was coming into the room. In his hands was the captain's uniform. I could feel it. I had been working hard for such a long time, and it was all going to be mine. Yes, coach, I asked. I could sense that Doug had tensed beside me. Even I was feeling nervous, as I thought of the possibility that I was not going to get the position that I wanted. The both of you are wonderful players, and the team would be lucky to have either of you as their captain. And because of that, I've decided to make the best decision possible, he said as he revealed that he had two uniforms. My heart was pounding in my chest. I did not want him to be the captain. He ended up being the one, then I was never going to live it down. I'd like to ask the both of you to be co-captains, Mr. Roberts said. Wait, what? How could I be a co-captain with Doug of all people? He was my sworn enemy, for goodness sake. What? The both of us shouted. I could not believe it at all. I know you two have differences, but for the sake of the team, I believe that both of you can lead us to victory in our last game in a few months, he said. But coach, I'm so much better than him. How could you do this to me? I whined. I could not work together when my enemy... I did not get how the coach thought we could work together without killing each other. It's up to you to make the decision, but if you do not want to work together, then Roderick will be the new team captain, he said. Gosh, not Roderick. I did not hate the guy, but I could not tolerate him either. He was very self-absorbed and always bragged about the things that he never done. As much as I hated Doug, at least he was honest. But working with my sworn enemy, I did not see it working. It's up to you, but I'm giving you a week to work together and decide if you want to be co-captains. Do not forget the opportunities that come with being a captain, the coach said, and he dismissed us. When we got outside, we stood there for a while, glaring at each other. This is all your fault, you know, he said. Mine? You're always trying to take things away from me. It is your fault that we're in this situation. Why did you have to put your name forward for captain? I shouted. He glared at me and stormed off. Just then, I got a call from my mother. I ignored it because I did not know how I could begin to explain the messed up situation that I had found myself in. I went to the showers and had one to let off some of the steam. As I was getting out of the shower, I bumped into Doug, of all people. I passed by him, but not before muttering something rude under my breath. I hated him with a passion, and I was going to make sure that I proved that I was a better captain than he was. But working with him was a no-go area for me. When I got home, my parents were waiting for me in the dining room. My sister Alyssa was also there as well, but she was more focused on the drone that she was fiddling with. My mom had been pacing until she saw me, but when she did, she started bombarding me with more questions than I could answer. Honey, stop making so many questions. Give Aiden a chance to answer for himself, please. My father, the calmer one of the both of them, said. I got the position, I said. My mom started screaming up and down, talking about making arrangements for us to celebrate. But so did Doug, I said. What? How could your coach do that? I'm calling him right now to make him change his decision, she said as she got out her phone and called him. I tried to get her to drop the call, but there was no getting through her when she was so worked up. I sighed and went to my room. The last thing I wanted to do was hear her complaining for the next 20 hours. As I was getting ready to start on an assignment, I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Hey, I really don't like you, and working with you is not going to make stuff better. My mom is going to talk to the coach about making a decision. I'm so sorry, but you are very close to getting the position. D. There was only one person who could send such a message, and I knew that it was Doug. Well though, tough luck for him, but my mom was going to convince the coach to give the position to me. I was definitely more hardworking than him. Well, neither of our mothers managed to convince the coach, and so we were stuck working together. The coach gave us a week, then we would decide if we wanted to work together or give the position to Roderick. Practice was hell. I could not agree with Doug most of the time. He wanted the team to practice a certain time, and I had other ideas. On top of that, we had to have meetings daily to discuss strategies going forward. During the meetings, things were a bit better. I hated to admit it, but he had some pretty good strategies that worked sometimes. On the night before we had to make our decision, we had a strategy meeting. I wanted to tell him that we could not work together because even though I hated his guts, we thought similarly, but I did not want to praise him. So I don't like you, I said. Ditto, he raised an eyebrow. But I need this position, and I know that you do too. So I can tolerate working with you for the rest of the year, I said. I hated to admit it, but I could see what our coach meant when we said that we worked well together. Likewise, and it would be wasted on Roderick anyways. So I will tolerate you for the rest of the year. But I am not your friend. I hope that you understand, he said. Fine, I said. When I told my mom, she was not exactly thrilled, but she kind of saw the bigger picture. So when we told our coach that we would work together, but Roderick was not very happy about us working together from what I heard our other teammates saying. After a few weeks of butting heads and working together with our coach, the time came for our first game of the season. It was a big deal at the school because not a lot of interesting things happened at our school. We had this tradition of giving girls our spare jackets to wear before the beginning of the game. Roderick came to me before we started playing and he told me that Alyssa was wearing Doug's jacket. I did not believe him, of course, because I knew that I had a tendency of lying, and he probably wanted to make me fight with Doug, who I had started to get along with a bit better over the past few weeks. We were not best friends, but we got along a lot better than we had in the past. Before the game, we had a talk with our teammates to motivate them. Would you like to give the speech? I asked Doug. I was not so good with words, I have to admit, and I knew that he would give better motivational speech than I could. I was more of the strategist. He smiled at me for the first time, and I felt less hate for him than I ever had in the past. Okay, if you want me to. His cheeks turned a little pink, but I was sure that it was a trick of the light. He gave the guys a motivational speech, and when the game began, we were playing with our rivals, the Lions. They had beat us the last time we played them last season, and we had sworn that we would win the next game we would play with them. The game was going really well, and we had a strong advantage over them. Then it was halftime. I went over to my family for a few minutes before we had a short team meeting, and guess who I saw wearing Doug's jacket? My sister. And it seemed like my parents did not notice it at all. I was very upset because it looked bad for my sister to be seen wearing his jacket. A guy giving you his jacket at our school only meant one thing. I pulled her to the side and asked her to take off the jacket, but she refused to. Are you mad? Let mom and dad see you're wearing that jacket. What's going on between you and him? He's my enemy, for goodness sake, Alyssa. I shook her. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. He's a good person. I have no idea why you hate him so much, she said. Are you dating him? I asked. Gosh, leave me alone. Why are you so overprotective? I'm 15 years old and I can make my own decisions, she scoffed. I don't care. He's not good for you. How could you do that to me? I'm gonna kill him, I swear, I said, fuming. Okay, it's not what you think. Listen, she said. I don't want to hear it, I said as I made my way to the locker rooms. She shouted after me, but I did not want to hear what she had to say. All I knew was that I wanted to kill him. I could not find him with the other teammate, but when I asked Roderick, he told me that he had seen him heading in the direction of our joint room. I did not even knock when I got there. I just threw open the door. Dude, what the hell is wrong with you? He shouted. He was half naked, and he seemed to be in the middle of changing his clothes. I did not want to work with you in the beginning. Now I see that I should have let Roderick be the captain instead. I do not trust you at all. How could you betray me like that? I came closer to him. I was shaking with fury and wanted to destroy him. You can't just barge in here and start making accusations. Are you mad? He said. You betrayed my trust. Your family is no good. Everything that you touch, you destroy. Wow, that's rich coming from you. Man up and tell me what I did wrong. Stop beating around the bush. We have a game to win, he rolled his eyes. Stay away from my sister. You've been warned, I said. What the hell? I did nothing to her, he protested. And no offense, she's not my type, he said. You think I'm stupid? I've never trusted you. She said that you were a good person. It is clear that you have somehow brainwashed her. How could you say that? I know we don't get along, but I respect you and your sister. I gave Alyssa my jacket because someone had spilt juice all over her. She's a sweet kid. Why the hell would she be with someone like me? He asked. I don't believe you. You're a liar, Roderick said. I did not get a chance to finish my sentence because he pushed me against a wall and kissed me. Hard. I was momentarily stunned, and I did not immediately push him away. I got over the shock and I pushed him back from me. He looked very shocked at what he had done and started to explain, but he could not let any words out. I was too stunned to say anything. All I knew was that I had to get the hell out of there. There was suddenly a knock at the door. Someone entered. It was Riley, and he had come to let us know that we were needed. I pushed past him and made my way out without another word. Doug called after me, but I ignored him. A lot of feelings were churning inside me. I had accused Doug of something that he did not do, and he had actually done something nice for my sister. He had also kissed me, and I let him. First of all, I was straight. And secondly, he was my enemy. And why did that kiss feel so good? Why had kissing my enemy made me feel so alive? He emerged a few minutes later, and he avoided looking at me. I was supposed to be playing in the second half since he has played the first one. Somehow, I managed to lead us to victory, but barely. I messed up a few times because I caught him looking at me with an unreadable expression. At the end of the game, I instantly went home and didn't attend the after party. I had a lot on my mind and I didn't want to be in the same space as him. He made me nervous. I was conflicted about how I felt about him. On the way home, my mother could not stop talking about how it was such a good game, but she felt as if Doug was showing off a bit. I wondered how she would feel if she knew that I had just kissed the enemy. My sister, on the other hand, was still wearing his jacket, and that made me feel worse. I was going to have to face him at school come Monday. Suddenly, I did not feel so great anymore, and that was when my phone beeped with a text. Doug, no one can know that we kissed. Well, I wasn't going to scream it from the highest building now, was I? To be continued. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.